Thanks for letting me present the Shitty Game Awards, the real Game Awards. You real assholes.
I also want to talk about James Rolfe.
James Rolfe?
Oh, yeah. Stuttering Craig. Remember we talked a few months ago about how Stuttering Craig, he was over-responding to a person on Twitter who was saying that AVGN is responsible for Nazis or something?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the heat got turned up on that topic, just a smidge. Okay, Stuttering Craig, his Side-Scrollers channel, they decided to put together something called the Real Game Awards. A lot of people are referring to it as the Anti-Woke Awards, or Anti-Woke Real Game Awards or something. He didn't brand it that way. He calls it the Real Gaming Awards or Real Game Awards. And that makes it seem as though it's some big deal. Let me just start by saying it's a 35-minute video. It's got 65,000 views. It didn't light the world on fire.
Number 10.
Number 9.
Number 10.
That'd be great. I would watch it if it was just old school Screw Attack. I know he has to like get the rights to Screw Attack or whatever, but
yeah, Rooster Teeth or whatever. Didn't they just maybe he can get it back? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he can.
So the you know what the idea was. The gaming awards are considered too establishment, too woke, whatever.
Especially like last year, they got a lot of flack because it was like more commercials than show.
Right.
And so it's
there's kind of a group think, in the industry, much like the Oscars, or there's some appetite for like the People's Choice Awards or fan awards. And the idea of like, let's stop letting the socialites and the paparazzi choose who the best movies were.
Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. Fuck the Oscars, Fuck the Oscars. Fuck you. I'll tell you.
So often they'll choose, Amelia Perez or something, and like literally nobody likes the movie. I haven't seen it, for the record.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the new movie that got like 13 Academy Award nominations, and it's like nobody likes it. Like nobody.
Yeah. Didn't like an actor from something get in trouble from that?
Yeah. I think the main actor tweeted a lot of racist shit.
Oh, nice. Right.
Like just like outright, like a few years back, and they don't quite know what to say or do about it because the movie itself is kind of like a pro DEI sort of idea. And but anyway, so he wanted to do this like fan choice kind of thing, and he claims that it's not political, but it is. I mean, it's let's not kid ourselves.
It's a counter statement to what's happening.
If for no other reason than on their podcast they talk about how they don't like woke things, and I think there were some categories like best jiggle mechanics and this sort of thing. Like it. So yeah, I would say
like
it's
man show kind of thing.
The anti-PC awards or something like that. But it wasn't like well produced at all. It's hosted by Craig, who's standing in like an arcade, like a real arcade, but it's shot on like an iPhone clearly, and like not a good one. And then the presenters were just people who sent in videos. And I gotta tell you, the very first one was a man named Justin from Screen.
Really?
He's the very first one right out of the gate. Yeah, incredible, right?
That is incredible. He's
the headliner, in fact.
And your nominees are.
And the whole night, like I would say, I don't know, some critical mass of the video is Craig being like, go over to therealgameawards.com and become a voting member. Become a voting member. Become a voting member.
And consider becoming a voting member. Voting members, and big ups to our elite supporters and those voting members.
I'm like, what does it cost to become a voting member? This whole thing is basically a big Patreon.
Oh.
And so it's $30 to become a voting member. It costs money.
Hey, interesting. Well,
and then you can vote for the best jiggle mechanic. So the idea was, I thought this was kind of cool. They showed the nominees and then the winner, and they showed in what percentages each one got vote. So if the winner got 36% or something, you'll see that on screen, which I thought was kind of clever.
Oh, interesting.
It's true. Like no politics were explicitly mentioned, but they are kind of implicitly mentioned, I would say. It's almost not fair to call it the anti-woke award, but it probably is fair.
With 53% of your vote, RoboCop Rogue City. Gosh, that's a shame. And just when we were about to enter Black Ops History Month.
It had a nice opening animation. There are no acceptance speeches. That's what kept it moving.
That's nice.
And what we learned is that they didn't tell the people who won that they won. They didn't really involve any of the people they just... Fans voted on what
I think I saw something because like, is it Black Myth Wukong won? And then, like, the creator was like, we don't accept this award. And then Stuttering Craig was like, you can't unaccept the award. You won it.
Yeah, it was the developer who did Nightmare Kart. It was the game.
Oh, okay, Nightmare Kart.
It was the PS1.
It was one of those, yeah.
PS1 style graphics. It was like a Souls game as a kart racer. It seemed kind of cool. And so as a trans woman dev, she lashed out on Twitter. I saw like an MSN headline that was like the Anti-Woke Awards honors a trans woman. What a bunch of dopes. And I'm like, I don't know if it's the gotcha you think it is. Wouldn't that be them saying no? But clearly, we didn't have a political bias in this case.
Yeah, it was completely on merit, and it doesn't matter what your identity was.
Yeah, he was like, "You get the award whether you want it or not." But there's no trophy. I mean, it's just a bunch of people saying we like this game best. It's not really something to necessarily accept or decline. There were a few commercials in it. He claims that there were no sponsors, so this is what promotes this idea of like you've got to spend $30. He said he was like, for free, we promoted a couple of indie video games. Well, one of those indie video games was AVGN 8-bit.
Oh, yes. So this is the NES. It's like it actually works on the NES, has an NES cart, but it's also going to be on the other systems if you want, like
Switch,
PlayStation,
PS4,
Switch,
PS5, yeah whatever. I thought it actually looked kind of sweet.
Yeah, it looked good to me. The promo that he cut for it was pretty laughable to me. Like, it felt like when you get like a Star Trek actor to hawk furniture for like a local furniture store, and they have to like use spacey words, and they have like a costume that's not quite right, and like these prices are out of this world and stuff like that.
Space, the final frontier. Aye, Captain, you can choose your space with a soda.
His energy was very much of that that realm, and also like it was like lit poorly too. Like there was like some dark shots, and it was kind of it felt very phoned in.
Do you remember in episode 200 there was a British developer who kept making, and I guess he makes games for Freak Zone Games, I think it is.
The Beta British
supposedly
guy.
He was the one developing it. Well, that guy got mad at us because we called him the Beta British guy, but we were like, we're not saying you're the Beta British guy. We're saying in the lore of the video, you were.
And then Cinemassacre of Truth like enhanced it to be Beta British cuck. I never said cuck.
Right.
I was talking about the character.
I guess that guy has been posting all over the place. Like, just so everybody knows, I had nothing to do with this game. Like, I started developing it a little bit, and then I had nothing to do with it. And for what I can tell, it's going to suck. And the people who did make it kind of blow. Like, this guy was kind of.
I take it all back. The Beta British guy.
I don't know, like, what would really inspire you to like jump out there in public and be like, my successor sucks. You know, I don't know why.
Yeah, it's not. It's a beta behavior, but
what can we call it? But
yeah, I mean, I can understand being like, I don't want to associate with this, and maybe it was inferred from like the Cinemassacre podcast that I was.
Yeah,
you can kind of see that. You want like, oh, but like I would be gracious and be like, I wish them all the best. Looks interesting, and then leave it at that.
I heard some people being like, why would you make an NES thing? And it's like, well, because in the world of physical media, at this point, having a novelty is kind of more valuable than anything else. Like, my VHSs sold better than my Blu-rays, okay? Because it's a more interesting novelty to have on your shelf. You know, it's like if you sold like a limited vinyl or something, you know, people like that sort of stuff now.
And a lot of us idiots still have our Nintendos.
Yeah, and it would be fun to play on it, right?
It would be fun to load something in there.
So he advertises, and then to announce the shitty ass game of the year. There was a category, shitty ass game of the year. It was none other than James Rolfe appearing on the Anti-Woke Real Game Awards.
That fascist.
Right. So, you know, maybe to James, it's like, hey, it's my friend. Everybody will understand. But I don't know if he understands that, like, you, in this culture war, man, you can't just be showing up to places that are unapproved, you know?
I think he's so unplugged that he just doesn't know.
Can't one of his puppeteers tell him, like, just so you know, like, you know, you might catch some shit for this.
Who knows? Maybe Craig just emailed him and he just sent a video back. We don't know.
I bet that's exactly what it is, because the video is dark and it looks like somebody didn't take a lot of time to turn on the lights that were, you know, carefully tied to the ceiling. He definitely shat this thing out all over Bugs Bunny's face. Famously, there's like this one guy on YouTube. It's like a 1-minute video where he's like, it pains me to say this. but I can't, because he's such a wonderful person, but I can't support him anymore. I have to let it happen.
It's really depressing to live long enough to see your heroes disappoint you.
During his speech, where he was naming the nominees and stuff, it was just like, yeah, very much like a Star Trek. Like, he was just doing it would be as if Spock was like, The following, I'm going to beam up the following nominees. It was like the Real Game Awards. What's that? Like the Real Ghostbusters?
Were there fake ones? I mean, that makes no fucking sense.
And the shitty-ass game of the year was Dragon Age The Veilguard, which is, from what I understand, a pretty like politically wrought title. And you got James up there, terminally offline James going like, Dragon Age The Veilguard. I'm like, you're going to get in trouble, James. You're going to get in trouble.
And the winner, or I guess the loser in this case, is Dustborn.
What?
Yeah, more like Dustbin. Playing this felt like digging through a dumpster trying to find a Twinkie that expired in 1994.
They made $25,000 to make the whole thing. He said that he worked on it for 9 months. Tell me if this passes the sniff test. Craig said that he hasn't taken a cent from either the Real Game Awards or Side Scrollers, the podcast, I guess.
I was wrong.
How could that possibly be
How
true?
could that possibly? It's a pretty popular podcast. A lot of our fans are fans of the podcast. So
I have a much less successful podcast, and I've taken a cent from it.
Yes.
I'm not really sure what he means.
You can't have FU money, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't really know what Side Scrollers Inc. brings in.
Am I a scammer?
Oh boy.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.